This graph maps out our baseline assumption for self-improvement. We expect effort to yield a predictable linear result. Behavioral progress actually functions like compound interest. It remains nearly flat for an extended duration before eventually curving upward into an exponential climb. The 1% rule illustrates the scale of this momentum. Improving a single routine by just 1% every day for a year results in being mathematically 37 times better by day 365. Most people quit during this initial phase, labeled the valley of disappointment. This is the space where your expectations of linear progress have completely outpaced the flat reality of the curve. Consistent effort is being applied, but because the results are still in the flat portion of the exponential curve, they remain entirely invisible. Imagine a block of ice in a room cooled to -15 degrees. You slowly raise the temperature, -10, -5, -1. The ice remains a solid, frozen mass. At 0 degrees, the ice melts. That single degree of heat is the manifestation of every joule of energy stored during the previous 14-degree climb. James Clear's framework in Atomic Habits provides the technical manual for navigating this latency period. Surviving the valley of disappointment requires a shift in focus. You must move past the pursuit of outcomes and begin engineering automated behavioral systems. Traditional behavioral change often fails because it targets outcomes. This approach treats the symptom, like a target weight or a revenue goal, rather than the mechanism that produces it. We can map behavior into 3 distinct layers: outcomes at the perimeter, process in the middle, and identity at the core. Outcomes are the results you achieve. They are the finish lines, the trophies, and the metrics on a balance sheet. Processes are the systems you follow. These are the daily workouts, the writing schedules, and the specific routines you execute. Identity is the deepest layer. It consists of the fundamental beliefs, self-image, and assumptions you hold about who you are. Identity-focused language, stating "I am a non-smoker" rather than "I am trying to quit," aligns your internal beliefs with the physical outcome you are pursuing. Every action you take serves as a vote cast for the type of person you wish to become. Lasting change requires an upgrade to this underlying identity. Without it, the old self-image will eventually pull your behavior back to its previous baseline. All habits are governed by a continuous 4-step neurological loop: cue, craving, response, and reward. Law 1 targets the cue. For positive habits, you must make the trigger obvious. For negative ones, you make the trigger invisible. Environmental design is a more reliable driver of behavior than willpower. We are reactive creatures, and our habits often follow the visual cues in our immediate space. A study at Massachusetts General Hospital proved this by simply rearranging the cafeteria. By placing water bottles in more prominent locations, water sales increased by 25% without a single conscious motivational intervention. You can engineer your own triggers using implementation intentions. This is a specific plan that defines exactly when, where, and how an action will occur. You can also utilize habit stacking, where you tie a new behavior to the end of an existing, deeply ingrained routine, like meditating for 1 minute immediately after you pour your morning coffee. To break a bad habit, you remove the trigger. Want to stop checking your phone? You must hide it in another room while you work. Humans are highly visual. If you engineer an environment where the right cues are unavoidable, the right behavior becomes the default. Law 2 focuses on the craving. You must make good habits attractive and bad habits unattractive. Neurologically, your dopamine levels spike during the anticipation of a reward, often hitting their peak before you ever experience the actual fulfillment. Temptation bundling is a structural hack that leverages this anticipation to drive difficult tasks. By pairing a high dopamine activity, like listening to a favorite podcast, with a necessary friction task, like working out, you manufacture the desire to show up. Conversely, the inverse protocol for bad habits is to make them unattractive. This involves reframing your internal dialogue to highlight the negative costs of the behavior. By focusing on the health risks of smoking or the lost time of scrolling, you destroy the anticipation for the habit. Desire drives action. By bundling required tasks with instant gratification, you create the neurological craving necessary to sustain the system. Law 3 targets the response. You must make good habits easy and bad habits difficult. The brain is biologically wired to follow the law of least effort, naturally choosing the path that consumes the fewest resources. You can optimize your environment to reduce friction, such as preparing your gym clothes the night before to make the morning transition effortless. The 2-minute rule mandates scaling any new habit down to a version that takes less than 120 seconds. By focusing on a single page instead of an entire chapter, you prioritize the mechanical act of starting. Consistency on a micro scale hardwires the neural pathway far more effectively than a sporadic, massive effort. A habit must be established and standardized before it can ever be optimized or expanded. To eliminate a bad habit, add friction. Deleting social media apps or hiding the television remote forces the brain to expend extra effort, which often breaks the automated response. Frequency creates the neural pathway. To build a new habit, focus entirely on the number of repetitions, not the intensity of each session. The final law targets the reward. You must make good habits satisfying and bad habits unsatisfying. This is the cardinal rule of behavior change. Behaviors that are immediately rewarded are repeated, while behaviors that are immediately punished are avoided. Good habits offer delayed rewards, like health or wealth, which the brain often ignores. You must insert artificial, immediate rewards to bridge this gap. Habit tracking, such as crossing an X on a calendar, provides visual proof of progress. That instant hit of satisfaction tells the brain the preceding loop was worth repeating. To stop a bad habit, you must make it immediately unsatisfying. Accountability partners and financial contracts introduce immediate pain to bad habits. If a failure costs you money or social standing, the brain quickly learns to avoid that loop. Immediate satisfaction is the signal that tells your brain to memorize the circuit and repeat it in the future. Small 1% efforts only compound into extraordinary results when they are supported by an upgraded identity and governed by the 4 laws of behavior design. This split screen illustrates the difference between goals and systems. Goals are finite and fragile. Systems are continuous, resilient, and escalate upward as long as they are maintained. When life disrupts your routine, you must employ the never miss twice rule. Missing a single day is a statistical accident. Missing a second day is the neurological beginning of an entirely new negative habit loop. Compounding momentum is a mechanical force. When it remains unbroken, the resulting progress becomes an inevitable byproduct of the system's continued operation. As Clear famously concludes, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Upgrade your identity, engineer the loop, and let the system do the heavy lifting.